Welcome to class number 3 of the 2004 treatment course. Our course, or rather our focus this week, is on the third step of treatment, realization. Before we begin today's lesson, let's begin with the spiritual mind treatment. Whatever I am doing, wherever I need to go after this class, it all falls away. I am present in the moment, right here, right now. In spirit, there is no need to rush. There is always plenty of time to do whatever is necessary. The life I live has its existence in universal consciousness. I live in, as, and through this divinity. I am that which it is. I'm excited to share my experience at the step of realization and spiritual mind treatment today. The nuances, the clarity, the intention that I have brilliantly expressed, I follow through with each of the notes I prepared and allow spirit to flow through me in this regard as it sees fit. I give thanks for the perfection of this process, and I release this treatment into the mind of universal law for perfect and complete fulfillment. And so it is. I'm interested in your results you might have come up with if you did the homework suggestion I gave you in the second video. It's quite a radical concept for those of us who grew up in traditional Christian or non-Christian households. That also means that the results can be just as surprising. If you'd like to share those results with me, please email me. If you have any questions about the first two steps of treatment, recognition and unification, you can place those in the comments below on my YouTube channel or email me with that too. Our third step, realization, is the meat of the treatment work. This is where we speak our word for why we are treating in the first place. Perhaps there's a change we desire for our material existence. That will be only one of 4 ways or 4 areas we can treat for. And it's also the only thing we may have prayed for in the past. Those 4 areas: health, prosperity, relationships, and full self-expression. Let's look a little closer at each of these. Health. It means all kinds of physical health challenges we may be experiencing, but it can also mean our emotional or psychological well-being. And, as a not-so side point, we don't just treat for things that we want or problems to solve. We must also remember to treat for the joy of the good health we experience. Prosperity. This is often mostly about money, but can also include all types of abundance, be that friendships, material sustenance, or extravagance, food, and health too. Relationships. When we think of relationships, most likely you'll be thinking of romantic or committed relationships with other people. This can also be about the relationship we have with ourselves, our family and friends, our nature and our planet, including animals, plants, and your favorite fur buddy if you have one, and the connection we've made with our higher power, whatever that is for us at the moment. And finally, full self-expression. I used to consider this final category as career, but as I've aged out of some of my careers, I've become acutely aware that this also means how I choose to spend my retirement. Career means not only what we might do for monetary compensation, but what we do in life that makes our hearts sing, which is where the term full self-expression originates. Some of us have focused our life on supporting ourselves and our families through work that does just that. It pays the bills. But hopefully, though, this can also include what we want to do for fun, like hobbies, travel, or providing a safe space for others. When it comes to the area in which we find ourselves desiring to treat, you can see how just 4 topics fit perfectly. It's also a clear example of how the science of mind and universal laws are simple, but not necessarily easy. It's by a fuller understanding of these principles through study and practice that we've come to start using both techniques to their fullest advantage. Treatment in the present is what the realization step requires. Once again, we are not praying to a far-off God for a healing, blessing, or to get our way, though of course that can occur if possible and if we choose. We are stating the truth of the matter. That is also why, if you choose, you can begin the realization step with, I speak the word of God. or some of the term for your other term for your higher power instead of I speak this word. When I treat with I, Terry, speak the word of God for, it puts my conscious human mind on notice that I am commanding universal law. This is so diametrically opposed to approaching God with a request. I am aligning with that power I professed to believe in is me. It makes me choose my words with even greater care. This brings us to doing treatment work for others. When I was trained to be a licensed practitioner of science mind treatment or spiritual mind treatment, we were required to report 3 manifestations of the treatment work we did for ourselves and 3 more in which we had done the work for others. Just as it's easier to tell someone else how to solve their problems, it can also be a challenge to treat for ourselves. I've been told by practitioners that I don't have any problem treating for others, but I can't treat for myself. I just go to another practitioner. There have been numerous times when everyone, including me, have asked for treatment. This is usually because the situation is too personal, or I feel I might be unable to see a challenge as clearly as I might. Surgeons, for example, don't routinely operate on their own family members. If my sister is in crisis, I always treat first, but then I allow someone else to be the practitioner on the case, while I play the big brother upon whom she's relied on so many times during her life. Funny story about her. She called me one evening to ask for my advice. I saw quickly where this was going, so I inquired, are you calling your big brother, your practitioner, your counselor, or your minister? She thought about it for a few tense moments and then made her selection. We laughed about it afterwards, since being who and what I am, what I said and did was identical in theory, but the difference was in the delivery. When doing treatment work for others, it's important to take into consideration what we perceive and the consciousness of the person contacting us. That's a quality that comes with time and experience. Another time, my sister called me to ask my opinion. As she detailed her plans, I asked clarifying questions, each of which she summarily struck down without fully explaining herself. After the third time, I cut off her response. I'm sorry, I said. When you told me you wanted my opinion, I took you at your word. Your responses indicate that you've already made your decision that you called about. You don't want my opinion. You called because you want my approval, and you have it. The silence that followed was notable. First, because saying anything that stops either one of us in our tracks and causes any further argument or discussion is damn near impossible. But second, she realized I was right. She had made her decision, and she realized that she didn't need my approval or anyone else's. Another part of treating in the present and in the first person brings up the decision of whether or not to mention the name of the person requesting the treatment. Do we or don't we? I mean, after all, we're one and the same, aren't we? The decision may seem obvious, but when it's phrased that way, it may seem like I'm trying to sway you in one direction or the other. I'm not. The decision is more about the consciousness of the person requesting the treatment, and if I'm performing the work in their presence over the phone or via text or email. If the person is another trained practitioner or minister, I usually don't. If spiritual mind treatment is new to them or it's their first time, I usually do. If we are to serve others through treatment, we must serve them at the level to which they are comfortable, making them feel seen. We'll get more about this into class number 5 when we talk about the ending of our spiritual mind treatment and what words to use. I promised I'd address the use of prayer trees and why I don't participate in worldwide prayer events anymore. First, I want you to understand I don't deny that either of these things helps anyone, and it provides a sense of comfort and support to the people who are praying, being prayed about, as well as the person or persons who are doing the praying. Second, I previously have mentioned that I worked at the United Church of Religious Science World Ministry of Prayer, both as a volunteer and later as a paid practitioner. As recently as 2018, I participated in organizing the prayer ministry of Unity of Harrisburg in cooperation with Unity Worldwide Headquarters. Both these prayer ministries will keep your situation in prayer for 30 days. The change in my thinking on this, and I should warn you that other practitioners, ministers, and churches of these teachings don't necessarily believe the same way. is that I believe beyond the shadow of a doubt that prayer, specifically spiritual mind treatment, works the first time. I've never read that Jesus of Nazareth needed to call upon his followers to effect healings of any kind, or that his followers needed a do-over for a healing. Nona Brooks rather, the founder of Divine Science, another New Thought organization, was asked by a religious science minister if she thought healings like she had in the beginning of her ministry would happen today, which at the time was the 1940s. The question came up because she worked with a woman who'd broken her leg. After saddling her horse to ride several miles to get to the woman, she prayed for the wholeness of the leg. At some time during the prayer, they felt the bone snap back into place. The next day, the woman was up, walking around, taking care of her household chores. But Brooks told the minister she couldn't see it happening in her present day, and that was over 60 years ago. Her reasoning was that medical science was developing rapidly, and prayer had taken a backseat to aspirin, operations, and various other healing treatments that are now were available then to the medical community, and now so much more. I've always thought spiritual mind treatment should be the first step in any situation or emergencies. I've treated on my way to the phone to call an ambulance, or while I was grabbing a medical equipment needed on the aircraft for a passenger. But there's nothing to stop me from using treatment, which is always available for me immediately. That's another principle Holmes taught us, that healing can come as we expect it. That means all the way from an aspirin to meditation to your chiropractor or being rushed in for emergency surgery. I have to constantly remind myself, exactly what do I personally believe is possible for my healing? The answers change. Yes, I know if I have a headache or a migraine, I can take that into treatment immediately, massage my neck and head, and have done that from time to time. Do I always do that? No, I don't, particularly if it happens as I was standing up to give a talk on one Sunday. I did my emergency treatment that I can tell you about in the next video. I quietly took a medication I used while I'm speaking, taking a sip of water that was on the podium, and no one even noticed. What is my emergency treatment? Or the migraine medication? It doesn't matter to me. The healing still occurred. It's my personal belief that the comfort and hope people get from knowing others are treating for them is part of the healing. But it can also be a slippery slope if the practitioner doing the treatment begins treating with a sense of sympathy, the, oh, you poor little thing attitude. I'm not saying we shouldn't be kind to one another, but taking away the subject's ability to heal themselves can be doing so, and we are buying into the pain, the anger, the disappointment, or the sorrow. Sure, you might comment that Jesus was, according to the Christians, the Son of God. He was God's child, but so are we. And it was Jesus that taught us today, as well as the people in his time, that we would be doing greater things than this, meaning the healings he was doing. If not us, then who? Getting back to prayer trees and worldwide prayer events, this comes from the idea that there is strength in numbers, that the more people that are involved creates a greater power. It may make us feel so, and it might be comforting to those being prayed or treated, but one person treating is doing the same thing. I realize this may be new to some of you, even the practitioners and ministers who have been doing treatment longer than I have, who might be listening. I'm not saying it's wrong to have prayer trees or participate in worldwide prayer events. As long as we are praying aright, as Holmes taught us, all prayer is effective. Why? Because the prayer, once again, does nothing for a far-off God. It's about changing the mind of the person doing the treatment, thereby allowing a healing to be revealed. Finally, for this lesson, a word about the use of the word creating, which we are discussing when we were discussing manifestations. New Age people, not part of the New Thought movement, thank you very much, often speak about their ability to manifest whatever they want for themselves as if they created it. In fact, they go so far to say that they created everything that they've manifest. The truth is, we never create anything, let alone the manifestation of our desires. If God is all there is, then everything we need is already available to us. because if divine intelligence doesn't need anything else than what's already here. What we do, not create, is allow. It's a change in our own consciousness as we throw away the paradigms of the past in favor of the truth of our being. When we started flying airplanes, the laws of physics did not change. We just started using them differently. Next week, we'll chat about the fourth step of treatment, Thanksgiving. Get ready for some homework for that class, as it will be about how to find out what you already have to be thankful for. In the meantime, before next week, have you started treating for yourself or writing out those treatments? I was taught to touch type by my mother, so closing my eyes and typing out a treatment is a wonderful exercise, and that's how I come up with the treatments I give during these classes. But if that doesn't work for you, please give yourself the joy of writing out your treatments. I've got a story about that, but I'll save it for the next class. Before we go, please comment below if you're watching this on my YouTube channel or hit reply in the email you received for any questions, comments, concerns, or treatment requests that you might have. Plus, I'd love if you would subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can also find me at my professional social media accounts at Terry Drew Karanen on both Facebook and Instagram. And while you're on YouTube, though, you might enjoy checking out the playlist on my channel under Treatments with Terry from 2018 and Making Sense of Life Season 2 from 2019. This is where you'll find over 200 or nearly 200 videos, treatments, and encouragements about a variety of topics. All the information is available for you any time of the day or night as my gift for you and free of charge. Once again, when I finish the closing treatment, the video will end. I encourage you to sit quietly for a few moments after this happens, just to experience your inner emotions. There is one life. That life is spirit. That life is my life now. I speak the word of God for each and every person watching this video. In God, there is no time or space. What has been recorded today can be used at another time completely. It is a refresher of timeless truths that have been brought to us by Ernest Holmes and countless other teachers. The golden thread of truth exists in every religion, any philosophy, and all teachings known to humankind. I see this universal truth everywhere around me. I feel a sense of unity and peace that can only exist because I throw my own high-bustled righteous indignation out of my life. I live in a sense of peace that I can only give more clarity to how I live my life and how I may be of service to others. For this and so many thoughts that I am already thinking, I give thanks. I thank the knower that knows within me to provide my desires before I even speak them. I give thanks for the life I live. And so it is.